The countdown continues, y'all. Only 4 episodes away from the big 100. And on tonight's show, we talk about something that so many of us have gone through or are going through or will be going through at some point in time. Yep, y'all, I'm talking about that daggum dark cloud and longing that follows us for weeks on end after we get back to the so-called real world. Woo! I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you might not find it in them there physiology books, but it's a real thing. Tonight, your coaches are in the house and we talk about how to beat those post elk hunting season blues. Those topics, along with our ElkBros shout outs. So my friends, pull up a chair, adjust your volumes just right, and pick up a box of tissues if you need it. And welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ElkBros.com, with your hosts Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Gilly. You want to hunt elk, and they live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Hello there, everyone. If it's your first time with us, glad to have you. Hope you enjoy our show. And for those blue-collar hunters following our show and grinding it out with us every week, welcome back to Elk Camp. I'm Gilbert Ornelas, your host for your show, coming to you from Spring, Texas, and from Katy, Texas, the one, the only member of the Venezuelan Mafia, Luis Gonzalez.
Jesus, can't catch a
Cimarron,
break here.
your elk hunting coaches, the one and only Joe Gilly and Leroy Chav Chavez.
Hola.
What's up, guys?
Hey,
Don't worry, Luis, man.
Manana's not even here to defend his leadership status.
Guys have been writing in, man. We're going to do something to figure that out on the 100th, man. We got to do something.
Yeah, until we do, man. I got to keep it pro. I got to keep it real, man. He's a member, right? I can't even say I'm a member of the Venezuelan Mafia.
Look, after he killed that big deer,
I'm not saying I want to be a member.
After he killed that big deer, I kind of let him in to be kind of one of the main members. Members, but
dude,
definitely
ice
not
water in his veins, dude.
Not even close to being the true leader of the Venezuelan mafia. There's only one.
My hat's off to you guys, because if people haven't been checking out your Instagram or the ElkBros Instagram, you guys have just been rocking it over there in Texas. Yeah. I mean, big hogs, man. You and the Ornelas crew, man. Gilbert, you and Logan
me and Logan have been whacking them and stacking them, buddy.
Yeah.
Been fun.
It has, and we're going this weekend. I mean, this is the weekend of all weekends for me. I get to spend a week with my kids in the woods. Lacey's coming in from college on Friday. Logan and I will be down there in South Texas, and we'll be slinging some arrows and probably letting a little bit of hot lead fly too, Joe.
Yeah. Well, you guys should have some scopes pretty soon. So.
Man, that's gonna be awesome.
So I'm real interested to see you guys' review of the Blackhound scope and what those optics are like on that. So
that's cool.
Yeah, when that happens.
I actually, pretty neat. I was reading through the Safari magazine of the Safari Club International, and they have a whole article on these optics, the Blackhound optics, and by Mr. Randy Gibbs. A pretty cool article about those scopes for sure.
Anytime we have companies come in that are trying to prove themselves and do a top of the line type deal. Just like Vortex did when they came in, man. I mean, Vortex glass, that was just a great option for everybody that wanted to have great optics without paying those Swarovski prices. And I mean, they're tremendous. And now we got Blackhound coming in here, and man, they're doing the same thing. They're trying to really make their mark in there, and I love seeing that kind of thing, especially when it helps all those people out there that don't have to pay these exorbitant prices for a good quality product.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just built my cousin a 300 Win Mag and a Thompson Center like I built Luis, and I'm actually gonna put my Leopold that's on my 300 Ultra Mag, I'm going to put it on that Thompson for him. It's a 4x12 by 50 or 4.5 by 14 by 50. I'm going to put that on there for him and give it to him as a gift for Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Oh yeah. And then, well, I love my cousin. He's like blood, he's like my brother. So I'm going to give him that as a gift from me
This
to
Ty?
him. Yeah, Ty.
Yeah, awesome.
And then I'm going to put that Blackhound, I'm going to put it on my 300 Ultra Mag.
All right.
So it'll go on my 300 Ultra and we'll go air it out on some long range pigs or coyotes if you come to our ranch, well, y'all been on my ranch, y'all know they got the big long pipelines and big long high lines. I mean, we can shoot 1,500 yards, not a problem.
Yeah.
I'm looking and waiting for some solid reviews on that so we can give those to people out there, that some of our rifle hunters and stuff. And let me ask you a question though, Gilbert, man. Are you going to be hiring a professional photographer like the Mafia boys do, man? I mean, I see these photos they have and they're lit and got the lighting, they're posed out, right?
Whoa. Whoa. There's no hiring. Again, the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia is in charge of the cinematography.
Is that what it is, huh?
Yeah, I got to get a little bit better at my cinematography. I mean, although I did produce a picture a couple weeks ago that made me look real slim. So I gotta say, I'm getting a lot better at it.
Gilbert sent us a picture of a huge boar, just unbelievably big. But for some reason, Beto looks slim and tiny. I was like, what's going on here?
Well,
I'm telling you, dude,
I was like, Beto, I'll start back for you from that picture, bro.
And that's what I'm saying. He kind of kept it in the dark, didn't he, Chad? Wasn't it a little bit on the dark side, that picture?
Yeah. It was dark, so Logan was using his light off his camera to try and light me up,
I was just wondering if that was somebody else. I mean, it was dark enough that you could have put another person in there and said it was you.
Negative. That's me. Straight up, buddy. They don't get any better than this right here, boy.
Well, let me tell you what. Let me tell you where people can see your mug, man. That our Blue Collar Strong teaser hit YouTube.
Yeah.
And man, I tell you what, your mug is loud and proud on that thing, man.
Yeah.
I love
that
the
was
video,
so
man.
good, Joe.
Well done.
It is so. Everybody I've sent it to is like, whoa, man, this is amazing.
Badass.
Yeah. The stuff we're going to put out is going to gain a lot of attention, and we need to, make sure that we're ready for that. So,
well, let me tell you, I after I watched it, I was like, God, I want to go on that hunt. Wait a second.
Yeah. I was there. Man, the part where you got your arm around me and you say, wait till you get a look at this bull. That is.
Oh, man. It's so emotional. The part where Beto's like, I get like this with every single one of them. Like, man. And then when his arms are up like that, and Mano is so cool, looking at the sky after the shot, man. It's just
Luis goes,
so many emotions.
He did it. Oh, that is.
Oh, yeah.
He done it.
Good.
He done it.
Yeah, he done it.
And how about when you're like your fist pumping up in the air, that? That was epic right there, man. I mean,
too many emotions all condensed in such a short, very cool video, man. So well done, Joe.
Very well done. I'm just like, what is coming out on December the 1st? How?
Oh, wait. I didn't say December 1. I said in December. I said in December. Don't lock me down to December 1st.
I tried to pin him down, man.
No.
He got all crafty on me.
That was good, Gilbert. You got me. You had me going on that one. I was like, holy crap, December 1st.
Crafty on me. Oh, no.
I'm like, whoa.
Hard to pin him down, but he's good, man. He's good. He's got the silverback mentality. Says, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. Hold the phone, son.
I'm thinking it's looking like it's going to be two different ones. I think the first half with the Mafia boys and second half with you and me, man. I think that's where that's going to happen there.
Man, I got to give it up to the Mafia boys. I mean, I've coined it, Mafia production. I've coined Mafia outdoors. I'm serious. These boys are legit. They got it going on, and they're absolute assassins, man. It is so cool to watch how much they've grown, and the pure passion they put down on camera and on film is just it's addictive.
It's been an incredibly fun journey, but to say that we have progressed by ourselves without, you all need to understand that you guys have been the pillar of our progression in this world of bow hunting. And yeah, I mean, we have the passion and the dedication, and we love doing it, and we have the opportunity to practice it constantly throughout the year. But it's the learning curve was expedited considerably because of you guys. So
yeah, buddy.
Well, you owe money still on that part of it.
Paid in full.
I sure do.
Right. Paid in full right here, brother.
But I can tell you this, and people got to see, because, man, when you watch that right at the end of it, there's Chav's mug right there, and for the exact reason that he wanted to be there, huh, Chav?
Yeah,
the ninja.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the elk ninja showed up in camp.
Yeah. And
sure.
I mean, it's all of us together having a good laugh, and the very reason that he wanted to be up there in the first place. He definitely didn't want to be up there to freeze his buns off, but
it was epic cold, wasn't it, Chav?
Oh yeah, I'll be more prepared next time.
I don't know how to be more prepared, son. I'm telling you, it was cold. We even had a daggum fire and couldn't get warmed up.
Yeah.
Well, it was warm during the day when we drove him up, and we took it took about 2 hours, man, to get into camp.
Hey, let me try to put it in a way that people would understand. It was warm during the day while you were trying to keep up with Joe up in the mountains.
Yes. Didn't matter how cold it was daggum warm.
Yeah, it was pretty warm.
Oh man.
Yes.
So just real quick, guys, I want to remind all the listeners that our 100th show, A Hugh Milestone, is coming up. And guys, remember, we're going to be looking for two listeners that want to be part of ElkBros history. And that's exactly what this is. Our 100th episode of our show is huge history for us. And we want you to join us on that 100th episode of the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast. And if you want to do that, because we're getting ready to put a deadline on this. In fact, I think the deadline, you get to hear this on a Tuesday. The deadline will probably be the following Tuesday. So by the next show, we'll probably be announcing that we're done taking those in. We need to select all that so we can get everybody lined out, that people know they can set up their schedules and stuff. So if you want to join us, remember, here's what you need to do. You need to write into info@elkbros.com. You need to tell us two things. You need to tell us about your journey this year as an elk hunter. And now that journey doesn't have to be just this year. Your journey might have been what you've been going through for a number of years and putting together. We don't know that, but we want to know how this year was a part of that and why. And this is the big one. Why would you like to join us on our 100th episode?
I have a little objection with that question. It's like, because to me, it's why wouldn't you?
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh man, I don't know, man. To be amongst this crew, you're gonna get tagged, man. You just never know.
Yeah, it's a tough crowd.
Well, yeah, we're a tough crowd. Gilbert don't hold back at all, man. And then Manano's brutal. He's brutal.
For sure. We're gonna have everybody. It's gonna be a good time, man.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to miss it. Guys, it's so cool to see every week guys writing in and everything. All of the stories have been awesome, Joe.
And again, we are getting your letters, guys. We're not responding to those yet. We will talk about those people and names and stuff like that and respond to them. And we're going to have a little something for some of you guys too. So that'll be exciting.
A lot of letters coming in, really good ones, and I want to thank everybody that has submitted their letters, because it's some of the stories are very personal and really hit home, and it's just so nice to have people share their stories, their journeys with us. It's we're blessed to be able to share all those. You guys, to have you guys share those with us.
Right. Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter if you guys did or didn't punch your tag this year.
Nope, not at all, man.
Y'all tell us, or if your hunt's still coming up.
Yep, absolutely, man. This is about your journey, and that's what all of this is about. What we are doing with you is we are trying to, as Chab always says, We're here to flatten your learning curve, help you on your journey, maybe get it so that some of those memories are happening for you a little earlier, man, instead of having to, wait for that trial and error, man. We're trying to get you so that you're having some success, you're feeling it, you're excited about it, and not only we're hoping that journey isn't just about that final goal of putting those hands on the horns. We want you to understand that it's that journey along the way. Yes, our goal is for you to punch that tag, but we also, a huge part of what we do with you is getting you to be not only aware, wanting that, but wanting the experience, and you being a better person, and a better person in the woods, a better person at home, a better person in your workplace, man. All of this is about life skills, life sets, and doing the things to make this world a little better, whether we're in the woods or anywhere. So, we're excited about that, and we want to hear about that from you.
Absolutely. Well, guys, you know what time it is. It's time for the ElkBros shout out. If you're new to the show, we just shout out for a few cities where the most listeners topping our charts this week.
Yep, absolutely. And for our top listening cities, we're going to go ahead and have you start out. Luis, you want to knock it out for us, man?
Absolutely. And, for those of you who heard the last podcast, I want you to know that Joe has taken revenge. The last podcast, Joe struggled a little bit with this pronunciation. So I know that there is some intention behind the ones that he picked for me today. Look, I'm going to ace this, and y'all going to be like completely amazed here. Okay, so this top listening city is a northeastern suburb of Chicago and was founded in 1866. A swamp-dominated area, it was the home of the Potawatomi natives. Two well-traveled Indian trails, Woodstock Trail and Lake Zurich Trail, still exist today as the Algonquin Road and Rand Road. And guess what, boys? Elk can be found right here on a 3,700-acre preserve called the Busse Forest. Elk pasture, Palatine, Illinois. Yeah! Yeah, baby.
He did really great until he
did, man. I figured Algonquin was going to get on him here, but
how do you Algonquin?
Algonquin.
Oh,
yeah,
Algonquin.
How cool is that? Because I know Santa Fe, New Mexico, if you've ever driven in Santa Fe, New Mexico, it's like crazy to drive around there because the roads that exist today are the very same roads that existed in the 1800s, man. So
Wow.
All they did was pave them puppies, right?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that road between, well, never mind. I don't want to give out that road. Yeah, you could tell it was all horse and carriage at one time going over the mountain passes.
And I think it's so cool that here in Palatine, Illinois, that two actual Indian trails still exist as roads today. That's
cool.
pretty. That's cool.
No doubt.
That's way cool.
Joe, this next city is a port on the confluence of the Hood River and the Columbia River that borders the Washington state line, known as the windsurfing capital of the world and located 30 miles north of Mount Hood. The city has received a lot of positive national publicity, including being named coolest small town, the 5th best ski town in America, and just lately, one of the great riverfront towns in the U.S. in Hood River, Oregon.
Hood River.
Oregon.
I just want to go to all these places in Oregon, man. I'm always between Oregon and Washington. I mean, these guys were rocking it all the time, man. And Lake Stevens, yes, Lake Stevens. Again, you are cranking it this week. But let me tell you what. There's a city right behind you, man, this week that you two, I don't know what's going on. I think people are like saying, hey, we want to be on this because there is a town in Virginia that you're going to be hearing about next week, man.
Wow.
So, yeah,
cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay, next up, this city is situated 10 miles southeast of Tacoma, Washington. Its name comes from the Puyallup tribe and means the generous people. It is home to the Washington State Fair. During World War II, the fairgrounds were part of Camp Harmony, a temporary Japanese-American internment camp, which housed 7,000 detainees in Puyallup, Washington.
Puyallup, Washington.
Puyallup, Washington.
Yeah, we'll have to make a road trip on the western part of the United States one of these days. Just hit all these.
So we did that. Man, we went from Seattle all the way to the Ho-Rain, all the way down to, we went to Mount St. Helens and back out to Portland to fly out, man. So just incredible country. It's like you're driving through a crack in the earth with the trees on each side of those highways, 200 feet tall.
Yeah, the big sequoias and redwoods.
It's unbelievable, man. Beautiful, beautiful state, man. So next up, this is a city I never, ever, guys, man, thought we would be talking about in our top listening places. This just rocked my world. And I want you to know it's, I am of heritage here, so this worked out pretty cool. This international city is a metropolis in Italy's, yes, I said that, in Italy's northern Lombardy region, and is a global capital of fashion and design. Home to the National Stock Exchange, it's a financial hub and also known for its high-end restaurants. Leonardo da Vinci's mural, The Last Supper, is housed at the Gothic Duomo di Milano Cathedral and the Santa Maria dei Grassi Convent right here in, man, we have become international, boys. We're cultured, man, in Milan, Lombardy, Italy.
Italy in the house.
Yeah.
You butchered that one, dude.
No, man, he got it good, dude.
No,
What?
that was terrible, bro.
That's a lot better than I'd have
That was
done.
terrible. And you call yourself Italian, man? What the heck, man? It's just unbelievable.
I did it in the Italian, not the Spanish version. Okay, man.
Gothic Duomo di Milano Cathedral and the Santa Maria delle Grazie. Della Grazie.
Della Grazie.
Della Grazie.
And
Man,
how do you say convent? Convent.
Convent. Well, it's in English. You wrote it in English.
Oh man! How cool is that?
It's so cool that we got across the big pond. We got some love, brother.
Well, there's been some places in England that were right there. So
That's so
I think
cool.
Blackheath. Have you ever heard Blackheath? I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, that stuff is really cool.
That's awesome. Joe, next up, this city is the tribal headquarters of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe on the Cheyenne River Indian Reservation. The reservation is the fourth largest reservation in the land area in the United States at 4,266 square miles. It was once home of the Native American icon Chief Sitting Bull in Eagle Butte, South Dakota.
Eagle Butte, South Dakota.
In the house.
Man, talk about history.
South Dakota. Yes.
That's so cool.
It's a big state, man. Like I told y'all, one time I was in South Dakota, North Dakota area. I had to call my mama because I thought the rapture had come. I didn't see nobody on the road for 2 hours. 2 hours, Joe. I mean, hooked a hard left there in Des Moines City and drove for 2 hours to North Dakota, and I had no clue that there was ever a soul that lived in North Dakota. I said, I got to call my mama because I think the rapture had come.
You said you said you were going to call your mom because she has a direct line, huh?
Yeah, she got a direct line to Jesus. So I knew if the rapture had come, mama wouldn't answer. Mama answered the phone, and I said, man, there's just nobody that lives up here.
All right, guys, let's get to our topic for tonight. That's freaking awesome, man.
Hey, Joe, can I do a real quick parentheses? There's a gentleman. His last name is Mr. Presley. Him and his family are going to need tons of prayers. As you know, one of their little family members is going to go through surgery this Friday, and it's a very, very delicate surgery. So please, everybody out there listening, just embrace these people with your prayers and send all the positive energy and all the best wishes so everything comes out.
I actually I knew of Charles was going through. This is Charles Presley, y'all.
Yes.
And his wife
Charles,
was,
we're praying for you, brother.
and his daughter is Abigail, and she was born
Yes, sir.
back in August, and she's going to be going through heart surgery, and it's been,
sir.
it's been pushed up. And I threw a text out to him earlier today just to let him know that we were thinking about him, and it's Charles, man, a lot of positive vibes, bud, and
Amen, brother.
we can't
Amen.
wait to hear the
good
journey, the
news.
great story. And we like to ask all of our people out there, just send some positive vibes, some positive thoughts and prayers for Charles and his daughter Abigail. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So, topic tonight, beating the Post Elk Season Blues. That's what, and I'm telling you, I've had so many things that have come in from people that have just talked about, how they're feeling after the elk season and this and that. And I've heard about this elk season blues thing. And so the first thing I want to say, y'all, is this a real thing?
100%. Joe. I told you I got my bottom lip poked out when the mountains are behind me when I'm headed east, right? I mean, I am not lying. Yeah, I don't like it. I've told you several times I got to figure out a way to move to New Mexico or, somewhere in between where I can get in them mountains regular and stay in them. It's something that I love to do. But yeah, I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, we live vicariously through yourself and Chav and looking at y'all's pictures of elk every week. And yeah, it's a real deal. And one of the things that I do down here is, and Luis can attest to this, is we jump right back on the horse. I mean, we don't hunt elk, but we go hunt pigs and we go hunt, deer season's right around the corner, October 1st, usually that last weekend of September, first weekend of October, our bow season starts here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hotter than Billy Blue Blazes, but at the end of the day, man, we're going to get back on the horse and go sling some arrows at some critters, so for
But
me,
I can
that's how I do
remember,
to
though,
get
Gilbert, I can remember getting some emails and stuff like that from you and, gosh, Manano and Luis. I mean, it wasn't even a week after you guys were home, man. It was like,
Yeah.
you just cannot duplicate that feeling of being in the mountains and being in God's creation, that you wake up every morning under that and you like, it's just spiritual. I tell people that all the time. They don't really understand until they've done it, until you come share elk camp with us. In the guys that have, it's a short list, but the guys that have, they all tell you it's spiritual, man.
I agree. The only thing that is keeping New Mexico for me to be absolutely perfect is the fact that it doesn't have hogs up there in the mountains.
That's I truly believe we all got a spirit animal.
Yes, that's right.
I truly believe mine is an animal, and Luis's is definitely a hog.
Hog.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of his deal,
so let me
Yeah.
ask you a question. How long do you drive to go hunt hogs, man?
It depends. So I got a place that with a friend of mine that is actually 45 minutes away from the house. And
that's
then
cool. Mm-hmm.
and then we have public land as close as an hour and a half. And then
Marv's place about an hour and a half from you, huh?
yeah, well, that's also another place. Yeah. And then, we're working on a lease that's potentially going to be, 5.5 hours, 6 hours away.
So he comes hunting with me. He comes hunting with me on my ranch. It's about 4.5, 5 hours.
That's right.
So
So
And then my
within 5.5 hours, we have several options.
But I think from my house here, you can drive 5.5 hours to pigs.
Really?
Yes, sir, you can.
Absolutely. I'm only 4 hours away from Amarillo.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. You'll be around some for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how many they get around Amarillo, because them hogs don't like the cold.
Well,
Now they'll get in it. Don't get me wrong, they'll get in it.
The place we go it's about 6.5 hours from where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying 5.5 hours, but it's 6.5 hours.
I think you said like 7 hours. I said 6.5. So it was something like that, man. But what I want going back to our subject, guys. Do you think though? I mean, we talk about how people they feel. Do you actually think that there is a depression
Yeah.
thing some people go through?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is look, if I didn't, that's the reason why I mentioned the hogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I didn't have the hogs to hunt throughout the year. Because even with the deer season here for bow hunters in Texas is pretty long.
Yeah.
But
really long.
yeah, but even after that, I mean, the break of no deer hunting is longer.
Sure.
And I would be depressed. I would be just like, I don't know I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I mean, if I didn't have hogs to go after throughout the year, just any time during the year, I just didn't know what to do with myself. I mean, it would put, I'll be depressed. Then I remember having conversations with Manano that if I didn't have a hunt scheduled in my calendar, it was not good. I mean, I wasn't feeling good. I had to have at least one hunt in my calendar scheduled that me and my wife agreed upon those dates, and I knew I was going to go hunting. And I try to shoot for at least once a month in order to kind of, keep my levels of non-depression high.
Yeah, and for me, Joe, my wife's grown up with me. We've known each other since we were 16 years old, and she knows from October to end of January, I'm gonna be in the woods. And if I ain't got something planned every weekend or at least every other, I'm not very good mood. I like to be in the woods with my kids. It ain't got anything to do with killing things. I just love to be in the woods hunting, and for me, that's kind of I don't know if you call it a church or whatever, but that's where my spirituality is for sure, is, spending time with my family and putting time in the woods.
So it just sounds to me like, though, hunting does it for you. I mean, it doesn't, did you actually feel any depression after the elk season was over?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, just not being able to get up and hear those elk bugle, you know? Yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, I watch a lot of elk hunting shows, on TV.
Yeah.
I go back and I can't tell you how many times I've watched our own videos, over and over again, just to feel that. And I pick up something almost, guys, if y'all hadn't seen it yet, the trailer's coming out, and that trailer is full of some of those things. That's the first time I've seen them, So, and it jogs everything back, and you're like, man, I wish I could do this a whole lot more,
Yeah.
And then, like I said, how I get through it is just diving into hunting other critters,
Right.
And when the oil field was good, I hunted elk pretty much through the middle of October because I would take clients hunting, you know. So I got to watch them kill some elk, and we guide, up in northern New Mexico, southern Colorado, and I'd be on some really cool ranches with my clients. So, but oil field's in pretty rough shape, and we hadn't been able to do a lot of that this year. So I'm going to get to, have some guys out on our ranch in South Texas and enjoy some time with some really good friends and clients there. But
and I think that's a big part of it. Like you said, though, spending that time with really good friends, man. I think that's a big part of it as well, and
absolutely.
People listened to our podcast last week, they got to hear some of that because, Chav, I think you can almost bring a whole different perspective because this was the first season that you weren't out there.
Yeah, that's true. But generally speaking, though, the elk hunt is kind of like Christmas. You look forward to it for 365 days out of the year, and then when it gets here, it seems like it goes by just like the snap of the fingers. Just like Gilbert was saying, you look at that trailer he made, and you forget all the little pieces that make that hunt so impressive. But yeah, for me, it was really different this year. My anticipation was hopefully I can get out there. And when I found out I wasn't going to be able to get out there, it was really disappointing. And, I'm already working towards it for next year, right now, that's one of my big goals. So, it's different. And, once it's over, there's a mourning period, you forget it, you enjoy that adventure so much, the difficulties and the friendships and everything. It's just an amazing hunt.
Yeah, and I think you hit that on the head too, and you guys talked about how much you prepare for it. You prepare for months and months. You think, you schedule, you do all of those things, and we talk about this. I mean, you spend 350 for 10 or 7 or 5, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you're just putting all that in, and then when you get there and you're just so excited for it, and you get there and you put it, and next thing you know, you blink. I mean, it's how many times have we gone on the first day and go, it's like, oh, we're okay, man. It's only the first day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we're talking about packing up for the next day. I mean, it's like, God dang, where did it go, man? It took forever to get here,
Yeah.
I mean, what is that week? That 5 days before you get to take off to go head to the hills, how long does that feel?
Yeah, generally we're working so hard to try and clear everything up so we can make sure, everything's right here at the house. So mama's not looking for anything, we're taking care of our honeydews, and doing all of those things, and then taking care of our workload. And for me, I hate getting ready the night before. So I've got everything packed a week before, right? Sitting in
just
my
like
front,
just like Manano, but 2 weeks before the trip, sure.
Yeah, no, 7 days before, man, I'll have all my gear packed, and I'll have everything laid out in here. And my wife hates it, but I put it all right in here, ready to go, because I don't want to forget anything, along with my pillow. Y'all don't ever want to forget a pillow. I promise you. That's number one thing. Put on your gear list, pillow. Okay.
Bring 3.
Yeah, in case somebody forgets one. So again, I lay everything out. I get ready before then, so it's helping me pass those days, and I start adding 2 things. And then the night before, I'm loading everything up. And then you got to make sure you're going the right day, because a lot of times somebody will tell you one day and then it's not the right day. So, you get thrown a little curveball there, and you're like, oh, man, I thought I was going to leave on this day. Now I got to wait a whole nother 24 hours.
Dadgum Manano, man.
Anyway, at the end of the day, man, it's the anticipation that just fuels you, and I dealt with some injury this year, so I wasn't really able to do a whole lot of physical stuff.
Right.
But I'm telling you, my feet are feeling good. I'm feeling good. So I can't wait, man. I'm gonna be in a lot better shape next year when I get there. Round is a shape, but I will be in a better round shape when I get there.
More round, you mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna be around for sure.
So, in the next part we were going to talk about is like, for those guys that are out there and that are going through this and their seasons have ended and stuff like this, we're going to talk about how you can refocus, how you change that so-called depression. Because I mean, here's what happens too. You've worked so hard for this. I mean, look at all the miles that you ran, Luis, right? And I mean, we're getting all these things and stuff like that about all the miles you've run. Well, I tell you what, you've been back home from elk hunting since I don't know what, but I haven't seen any mile times or.
I haven't been sending them, but I'll be honest. I have not put in the work the way I put it before the trip.
Absolutely. But
I have ran.
Well, I think that's part of it, though. I think that actually, I think that's part of that depressive
the postpartum.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think guys come home and they're like, because really, that carrot, that being on that hunt and being able to do
too far away.
And you just got done doing it all. It's like, what am I going to do this for now? I don't have to go keep up with anybody.
Well, but because, and I'll tell you, I hate working out. I hate it with a passion. I just like having to do push-ups and abs and all that crap. It's like, man, I'm doing it.
Born like Bo Jackson too. Man.
Oh man, I'm doing it. I'm cursing. I was like, dang it, I hate this friggin' thing. I was like, what? And the only reason why I do it is to be able to, perform when I need to perform up in the mountains. So, to your point, I get back and it's like, well, do I really need to put in that much of a hard work in the meantime? And look, as of now, the only carrot I have is like, I need to start putting in the work so it doesn't become such a steep of a progress for me when I get closer to the dates, because I already feel that I'm starting to gain a little bit more weight again. Yeah. And so my thought process now is like, well, I know I hate it. And I know that elk hunt is far out and I got time, but I know that if I don't start putting the work now, then it's going to be way harder for me to catch up by the time, the closer I get.
And I want you to think about a couple things too, is that and that's why we say that elk hunting changes people's lives, because it has done that for you. I mean, it's actually, you are thinking in a whole different mode than you did before. And you're getting life benefits, not just elk hunting benefits from the training that you're doing. Both you, I mean, I got news for you. When I met Gilbert, man, this dude was on a CPAP. He was on medications galore. And it's different for him now, man. I mean, life is different. So it altered his life, and it increased opportunities for him in so many ways. And I get emails from guys that said, like Gilbert, I'm like this, and this is what I'm doing, and they're changing their life. So that's huge. But I do want to tell people though that as coaches, one thing that we'll tell you, that Chav will tell you, is that the body needs a break between seasons.
No doubt.
I'm not saying that, it's like Gilbert saying that.
I'll give it about a 1.5 break then, just to make sure that we get full rested there.
Here's the other thing, but I've got to do this, man. When you have those things and you go how much you hate it, and I'm with you on that, dude. I mean, the only reason I run, the only reason I do the stuff I do is so I can do what I do in the mountains. I'm right with you on that. But I can tell you this too. There's those days when I start to complain about this or complain about that. I've been there and I've seen Chav on one end of 7 feet.
Absolutely. 100%.
One end of 7 feet, trying to just get to the other side of it and what it was for him. So that for me has been huge in my life, right?
I agree. And look, I said it in a few podcasts before too, that I was running and I felt like I couldn't make that last mile when I was actually running the 3 mile, stuff. And I was like, it was hot out there, it was sweating, and I was like, oh my God, I won't be able to make this. And the thought of Chav came through, and that's what got me through finishing up my mile. It's like, if Chav was fully healthy and able to run, he would rather be running than where he's at. Why can't you go ahead and do that? And that's what got me through it. And 100%, that's been, I think it's about finding the motivation, the inspiration, the reasons for doing it, and being able to tap into that source in order to get you going. But it's tough, man. And look, it takes a lot of discipline, and I consider myself a very disciplined person when I set my mind to it. But this is one that I slip every once in a while.
Well, and I tell people all the time, you got to find your reason why that's bigger than your why not, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, that's what it's all about. I tell my athletes that all the time. If you're struggling doing something, you're not putting the work in to get the result that you need, right? I can just tell you, if you put the work in, you'll find the result. It is part of what we do. We have to perform physically in the mountains and mentally. I can't tell you what a crushing blow it is up there to your mental state when your body won't do what you want it to do, because that is the worst. I've been through it. I am very fortunate that I'm very stubborn, and I'm willing to die on that mountain to get it done, right? And I've been in better shape before than I was this past year, no doubt, but I was not going to give up and deny. I had to ask for timeout a couple of times, but at the end of the day, Joe knows if he gets me within what we call the red zone, if he gets me in the red zone, it's over, right? And he got 100% confidence I could close that deal. Yep. And look, you're going to run out of that rope sometime, so I know I got to be in better shape. The year before that, we knocked him down quick, and or the year before that. I mean, we knocked them down quick, and I didn't really need to be in great shape. And I was in the best shape of my life, so I was about 255 when I showed up to elk camp. This year was about 275, 278. I'm walking around today at 278. My goal to be in elk camp next year will be around 240. That's what I want to be at. So I got work to do. My foot's feeling 100% better, man. I can put the work in. I got some time to do it. So I can't wait. But for me, man, guys, I just get back on the horse and go hunting. That's how I really cure my blues.
And yeah, that's the thing to get you through is, and also there's other things like you share that passion in some ways by sharing it with family members, taking your son, taking your daughter, same thing for Luis, and Luis, Manano doesn't have that yet. Tomas is coming up, and, for myself, I get the opportunity, man, I still have hunts that I'm doing up in the hills, and I get to spend so much time around elk. It really helps to lengthen that out for me. But for those guys that need to refocus or what you can do to refocus to get ready for the elk season. I'm going to tell you a story, and I won't mention the name, but one of our grinders texted me the other day, and he's texting me about, choices for next year, whether OTC, whether first week, whether the middle during muzzle loader, and because he's talking about Colorado, or the last week, and blah blah blah, and he's going by, and his wife's like, "Well, who are you texting now?" and she goes, "Are you planning for the hunt already?" And
Jake from State Farm.
He did the perfect thing, man. He goes, "Well, Joe's talking about it." He
blamed it on you.
Oh yeah, he blamed me through. Yeah, but hey, that is the classic. I'll take it, man. That's a classic move, man. That's how you deflect and you can save it, man. But in all honesty, for a lot of guys, especially, you guys, you don't have to worry about planning on so much where you're going to be, where you're going to camp, what time of year, all that stuff is pretty much done for you, right? Before. But there's so many guys back east that are like, well, number one, where do I go? What unit, and, what time of year should I go? And, all of that type of stuff. And so I'm telling you guys, all right, so those of y'all that are going through those blues right now, give yourself a chance to recoup. Take that break between seasons. But in your mind, you need to already, again, get perspective and review where you were and what you did this year.
It'd be a great opportunity to look at your failure points and
Absolutely.
be able to work through those, get a workaround if you need something. I mean, for me, this year, one of my failure points was not being able to see through my peep, and I learned how to shoot outside the peep if I need to at certain distances. So those were things that I've worked on. And now today, if I draw back and something happens like that when I'm whitetail hunting, it's not going to be an issue, man. I'm going to know right where I need to go, and we're going to get it done, man. Like I said, we've been sticking hogs and whitetails and everything else the last few weeks. So for me, it was just about getting back on the horse, Joe.
And we're blessed because we have that opportunity to hunt other species in the meantime. But look, if you don't have that,
small game.
Well, not only small games, but there's 3D shooting competitions out there, and those are super fun too.
No doubt.
And I've done some of those, and look, talk about something that can also help you with failure points. That's it, and that puts you in different situations, different scenarios to shoot, and some of them you can range, and some others you can't, and that also helps you with perspective and understanding distances, especially out in the woods where it can be so deceiving. So,
and I'm not saying this to shamelessly plug anything, but Joe, Luis and I both hunt hogs year round. And if any of our listeners want to come down, it's very inexpensive to hunt these critters down here in Texas. I mean, they're a nuisance, and it's a flat day rate fee that we charge you. And if you want to come down and hunt them, I guarantee you're going to be around them. You can kill as many as you want. I mean, there's no limit. So we got places to do it. So if our listeners want to dive into something like that and kind of see how we hunt those hogs and this, that, and other, we'd love to have some of our listeners come join us on a hunt, And it's like I said, it's very affordable. It's not in the thousands of dollars, I can tell you that.
And that's Gilbert at ElkBros.com. Just give him,
that's Gilbert at ElkBros.com.
Like
and same thing with Luis. We both have places to get that done, and it's how we stay in shape, how we stay in shooting shape.
There you go.
And that's how we get it done, and we stay in our shape.
And see, that's the thing that I think is important is when you are having to shoot an animal ethically and put them down quick and fast, it doesn't matter what that animal is. You get used to looking at that spot and making that count. And I think that's one of the main reasons. I mean, if you on that trailer, on our blue collar strong trailer, you look at that, man. You did an incredible job, Luis. That is just daggum A material. We have Manano and the elk, and that elk looks like he's right on top of Manano. And
it does, man. It looks like he's going to walk over him.
It can't be 15 yards, man. I mean, it can't be that far away. And I mean, you actually see that arrow pop right behind, right in the pocket on that animal right there. You can hear it, and he just calm as a cucumber because he actually had pulled back and had his knot come off of his
arrow.
Yeah.
Yep. This is the shaft. So he had to let down, adjust the knock, and then draw again as the elk was still approaching.
Yeah.
Right. So it was an incredible moment, and it was really tough for when you're trying to capture those moments. The biggest fear you have is not to mess it up for the hunter.
Right. Absolutely.
And just kind of trying to stay at the right distance and still be able to capture the shot is probably the most difficult thing that you can do. And Manano did an incredible job the year prior at that as well. So
we've gotten two like that, and I mean that one of Gilbert last year taking his bull. Now we don't get both shooter and, but I mean we have the bull right there in it, and it just really, really cool stuff on that. Who shot that? Oh, I don't know, man. That guy was pretty good. Whoever shot that.
He was right behind me, that's for sure. And then I had Chav sitting right behind me too. That was some of the coolest video I've seen of an animal actually, the whole
coming up over the hill.
Yeah,
like that.
And man, him bugling in our face and the standoff, me drawing, having to hold. I mean, that was pretty cool. And I'm not going to lie, we actually shot an overshot of that where I am drawing the bow. So if Joe wants to work that in, he can do that, right? Yeah. But, I mean, it was so cool to see. I mean, you see the arrow, boy, it was money. Yeah, that bull was down in less than 15 seconds.
I think I counted 6 seconds, man.
Yeah. I mean, put him down.
Yeah.
And didn't go very far, maybe 15, 18 yards, and he was down.
If that, it was unbelievable. I mean, he never left the frame.
On a super steep hill, too.
Yep.
And with some really nasty rocks that he navigated fine, but it took us a rough time getting him out. But, man, And then Manano got he got the shot. He just didn't see the animal on mine this year. He got the shot. He got the arrow released. You actually hear the arrow in flight, and it impact the animal, right? And then about 12 seconds, I think it took, you heard the animal crash into a tree.
Yeah,
and my hands go up in the air. It was really cool, man.
But I tell you, too, you guys, that if you haven't, I mean, right now is the time. I mean, especially right now, the way COVID's going and the way it's going to be with shipping and stuff, if you don't know that one item of gear that you felt like you were missing or that was breaking down or that's getting old or that needs to be replaced, to put that out there on your Christmas list, I mean, this is the time right here. So,
Black Friday.
What's
Black
that?
Friday.
Black Friday.
Yeah. Black Friday.
Well, can you get both stuff on? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if Zolio or something is going to be on sale on Black Friday. You never know. But
never know.
But Joe, I gotta, I've got to say, and I meant to say this when we were talking about what's the actual feeling of the blues, and to me, have you ever watched a really, really good TV show that you just like love every single episode, but there's like a month in between one episode and the other, and they just finish and let you like
Hanging.
what? You know, so that's
Yellowstone.
the feeling, right? I mean, when you're driving down the mountain after that season is over, bringing all those memories with you in such a short period of time, it's like, man, I have to wait a whole another year for this. And that's the feeling. And that's like, you're extremely happy because of the experiences that you earned and the memories that you will take with you to your grave, but at the same time extremely saddened because it's such a long time for that to happen again.
And for me, I didn't get to start it until my 40s, you know. And that angers me because I wished I'd have got it in my 20s, because I'd have been a bad son of a gun in my 20s now. And I tell you, I was a much better athlete then.
Well, but to take that feeling the other way, have you noticed that once we get back there, it's like we never left?
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
Only we got cooler gear.
Oh, and I got a better bow than Manano.
Yeah. We got better gear. We're a little more prepared.
But I mean,
but it does feel like the friendship. And I think us doing this
has made that bond
also
stronger.
helps a lot to enhance that feeling, right? But I have to say that I also felt it before we even started doing the podcast. I mean, it's just, it's funny because it's like putting pause on that one TV show and then just hitting play again
and
once
you're there.
we meet up again.
Yeah, and last year you guys came down to the ranch and came hog hunting with us.
Right.
You know,
but here's the thing, though. That's also a very good identifier of true good friendship, right? I mean, when you have a really good friend that you haven't talked to or seen in years, and then you meet with that person again, and it feels like you're picking it right back up where you left it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's normally a good indicator of a true friendship, and I think we got that too. So we're blessed with that, and that's why it feels, the whole thing when we get there is like, I mean, and look, stories and memories are starting to blend. You know, sometimes, you know, it's hard to remember whether it was the season before or the one before that, because things are so similar, right?
Chav, I think we get that problem a lot, huh?
Yeah, we get our stories all mixed up.
Y'all been so blessed to be able to stay so long in the mountains together and, you know, do those kinds of things. And man, I mean, if I'm y'all, I'm hunting everything that lives in them mountains. I'm hunting mule deer. I'm hunting, you know, whatever.
Well, to us, it almost seems like one long hunt sometimes. I mean, it's hard to distinguish, you know. You know, I think what helps us is, and what has helped me in the last years, has been like, you know, it was like Luis and Tucker, Luis and Manano, you know, Trey, and then Brendan. So I can almost
one differentiating character there.
Yeah. But when it was just me and Chav, we were just like, well, what's that?
Me and Chav, Chav and me and Chav, and Chav and me.
Chav, was that 2011?
So you're saying we made it more interesting, Joe? That's what you're saying?
We're putting a twist.
You just gave bookmarks to it, I think. You guys became great bookmarks, you know. And
I'll take it.
You know, we've had some, I mean, you think about it. I mean, I can go back to the first time I met you, you know, going on 12 years ago, Gilbert, and I can see each one of those by the characters in camp and about, you know, the things that happen like that. And I mean, we've had laughter, we've had smiles, we've had tears, we've had all the above, you know. So
it's a 12-year relationship that's culminated into a lot of different things, is mutual friends, hunting buddies, business partners. I mean, the whole 9 yards, you know.
So we know, Chad, you said you're getting ready right now. You're already getting ready. I mean, everything that you're doing now is focused for next year, right?
Right. Yeah, you know, we touched on weaknesses, you know. Now's a good time to start calling again. You know, I was calling for about 2 or 3 months in a row, and then the cancer came up, and I kind of stopped that. And now I'm exercising at a marathon pace, one step at a time. And I'm running out of TV shows to watch. I've been, I'm in my little gym for about, I'd say 3 to 4 hours a day. So I do a lot of Netflix and all that.
Right.
So those series come and go real quick. But, I'm taking it like a marathon, one step at a time. It's a long grind. And hopefully by September, things will be in place. But, in the meantime, I'm going to work on my weaknesses, which, calling is one. And once I get strong enough, I'm going to get out there and start shooting again and get it, more accurate. And at the same time, watch videos, YouTube videos, and just anything on TV with elk hunting. I know a lot of hunters out there, we've been reading their stories that they've submitted. And, we can actually pick up a nugget or two from those stories. And what I would tell them is, replay your hunt. There's stuff there that happened for a reason. And if you can figure out why it happened, whether you're successful or not, it'll make you a better hunter. I would suggest reading the Academy all over again. And then if you can recall stuff that happened during your hunt and why did it happen that way. I think we have a couple of letters tonight, if we get to them, that one of the reader or one of our listeners came up with 2 scenarios, and he wanted to know what the deal was. Why did it turn out the way it turned out?
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of instances that things happen perfectly. It seems like, well, you did the right thing, and sometimes, they don't turn out the way you want it to, and there's a reason for that too. So kind of replay stuff. I know Joe and I have learned so many things that people haven't, that we've already forgotten ourselves.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, it's like a reminder, oh, wait a minute, I know what happened there. So, it's a learning thing. Every time you step on that, or I was going to say on that field,
Yeah.
kind of like an athletic field, you learn something.
Yeah.
And even the letters that I've been reading lately from our listeners, I can see certain scenarios in my mind and why it happened, why it didn't happen, and what they could have done maybe a little bit different. So, there's a lot of information gained just by
I think
what we do. I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to, like you said, and you said a critical thing though, Chav, whether you were successful or not, remember, you can punch a tag and have a lot of areas you need to improve in, it doesn't mean that your strengths are at full force. It just means that you had that opportunity and you finished on that opportunity. That was great. But that doesn't mean that your game is always at the top of what it could be. So even though you punch that tag this year, is it your goal to only have punched it this year, or do you want to be consistent from year to year to year? So you've got to always look and reevaluate, and like Chav said, look at that perspective. Look at the things that you learned, the things that that baffled you a little bit. Learn about those animals more and more. Try to understand their habits, understand your habits. Find those areas that you could have excelled more in and why you didn't, and you improve on that. Again, we always say, find your failure points or possible failure points. They don't have to be something that you failed at, So when do you guys start getting ready? I mean, that's a good way to beat those blues, is to refocus, right? I mean, like, you're getting ready already by hunting other animals in a sense, right? So you're doing that because, and let me tell you,
sharp,
that's keeping your shooting sharp. That's a great time to continue using your gear that you use while you're out there, to test out new gear that you're doing or would like to use. I think one of the big problems is, and I think this helps to contribute to postseason blues, because I really think, here's another cause of postseason blues. I think some people really start getting ready that 1 month or 2 weeks prior to, and they actually get out there in the elk woods still trying to figure out equipment or themselves or the animals, and by the time they figure it out, it's their last day there. They leave and they have all of these still they have these regrets, man.
Yeah.
I mean, of what could have been had they done this stuff ahead of time. So I think a great way to beat those post-season blues is by prepping better, using this time right after to, like we said, get to know your setup, improve your setup, make sure you understand your equipment, wear the same equipment that you had, hunting those in that same equipment. You know, I go to 3D shoots, and I go to 3D shoots with other guys that have two bows. They have a bow for hunting in, and they have a
3D
bow
bow.
for 3D, man. They have different arrows, different setups, and this boy right here, I 3D and everything I hunt in. Pack.
Yeah.
Carry my binos, same arrows, same bow, everything, man. I want to keep everything, because my goal for 3D is not to win a 3D. I like it, you know.
Yeah.
If I can, that's just icing on the cake. My goal is 3D is to do those things and put me in a situation so I can be successful elk hunting, right? So that's some of the things. But you know, when does your mode go from just, you know, doing your hunting thing to actually starting to think about elk hunting? Grinders tuning in, thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast. Our goal is to share our knowledge and help you flatten that learning curve so that you too can have some of the very same incredible experiences that have given all of us here at ElkBros a lifetime of memories. If you like what you hear or see, you can get all of this information plus so much more from our Base Camp Elk Hunting Training Camp, the first in a series of online courses from our Blue Collar Elk Academy. Our Base Camp Training Camp allows me to use my coaching style and share almost 40 years of elk hunting experiences successfully hunting elk on public lands, as well as over 20 years guiding hunters of all ages and experience levels. This course will be like nothing you have ever experienced in concept and structure, using success-based coaching techniques that will elevate your confidence and skill sets. Our camp will prepare you specifically from that final moment most in your control, those final minutes or seconds the elk is in front of you, backwards through each step and level, allowing you to see, visualize, understand, and relate every coaching point to what lies ahead, the next step, the next thought process, the next success. Because y'all, you've already been there. You know what it looks like. By tapping my 30 years of teaching and coaching experience, our camps are developed considering multiple learning modes with text, visuals, audio, as well as video. And Base Camp will benefit those new to elk hunting all the way to the 10 to 15 year vet. So if you are looking for that one thing to help you fill that tag this year, invest in the most important piece of equipment there is, you and your elk hunting knowledge. You can find the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Academy and the Base Camp Training Camp at ElkBros.com. That's ElkBros.com. Keep dreaming of the screaming, believing in achieving, and most of all, keep grinding.
April.
For me, it's
April
3
1st.
months prior to.
3 months prior for you.
Mine's April 1st. So my diet will start and my exercising will start. And, you know, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've been shooting a bow since I was about 6 years old, 8 years old, whether it was a little bitty bear, whitetail too, or whatever. I killed my first deer with a bow when I was 13. So I've killed a lot of animals. I shoot a bow. I'm a pretty good archer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't shoot all the time, guys, right? Number one, I don't want to develop any bad habits. I don't shoot when I'm tired. I shoot fresh in the mornings. I started about 65 to 70 yards with my first arrow. I don't shoot them at 10 or 20 to warm up. So my practice is a little bit different than most people's, but it's what works for me.
Right.
And I can be dialed in about 10 arrows and be done, ready to rock and roll. Right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys, man, they got to put a lot of shooting time in. I just don't.
I'm one of those.
Yeah. Well, and look, you should, being an instinctive shooter, got to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could do what I do with being an instinctive shooter if I didn't put the time in, for sure.
Right.
We kind of cheat when we got our pins and stuff like that. So it's a little bit easier. But so for me, so April's what? All of April, May, June, July, August, So, I mean, 5 months,
Yeah.
you know, my prep is 5 months.
I with regards to the shooting, to me, it's kind of throughout the year.
Right.
On the
Yeah, and
hunting,
like Luis said, we shoot a lot.
I mess with my bow a lot. Like as far as,
And now's the time, man.
this year was, how can I make my arrows better?
Yeah.
I found a nose button that I really like, and I'm glad I put it in place, because when I was hunting, I was shooting at one of the hogs at night, and I went to draw, and if it wasn't for that nose button, my anchor point would have been completely off of my string. So it was an immediate reward of, hey, this works for me, right? So I put the work in messing with those things year round, and I shoot my bow year round. I don't shoot it every day, but I shoot it often. But most importantly, the exercise part. That's where I go hardcore 3 months prior, to where I can lose, 20 pounds in those 3 months, and put a lot of workouts and run a lot during those 3 months. That's when I start my routine of working out at least 4 times a week.
Yeah, awesome. And if I could make a recommendation to you guys out there, is that now is the time to, if you're going to do a new setup, start messing with that setup. If you're going to do a new site, if you're going to do a new release, if you're going to do all that stuff, do all of that. If you're going to go to new arrows, go to a new broadhead, do all of that. And by May 1st, have your setup by May 1st. And the reason I tell you to do that is so that you have 3 months solid of 3 months, because there's going to be a lot of time in that 3 months that you're not going to shoot that setup. But, you're going to have time now that you are going to be comfortable before you hit the elk woods. Do not go changing your setup 2 weeks before you're going to go up into the elk woods, man.
I learned this the hard way. Look, and even with having that in mind, Manano talked me into, it's Manano's fault, of course. So Manano talked me into changing the vanes that we were using for our arrows. And I changed the vanes, and I put a little wrap on the back of the arrows, and I tested the arrows and they flew fine, but then at short distance. But then when I started practicing for the elk hunt, longer distances, man, the arrows were not flying good. They were doing this parachuting effect, and I was like super concerned. So I had to go back to the draw board and take all those wrappings and all those fletchings out. And then that's when I went online, found out about knock tuning, and went back to the old setup to make sure that I had good arrows for my trip. This happened the last 2 weeks before the trip, so I was freaking out, right?
So was Manano, because I saw a crack of doubt in him at elk camp.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, he was concerned because he had the same arrows, and when he went to shoot him, and he did go to shoot him probably a week and a half, 2 weeks before the trip, then they were also flying with the parachute effect. So he was like, he took his bow, he thought it was the bow, he took his bow. I mean, he went through the whole process. I went through the whole process here, and we just narrowed it down. Hey, it's got to be the arrow setup. And then that's what led me to start investigating about this whole world of building arrows, and kind of understood what was going on, and led me to build my new arrows. But my goal at the moment was, I'm going to go back to my original setup that's worked for me. And then I'm not going to, even though I wanted to go through the process of changing my arrows, I was like, I'm going to wait until after the hunting trip before I start messing with my arrows. And that's what I started doing after I got back from elk camp.
Yeah, that's the advice that I would give people out there on that is, now you have an important time to be doing that. So if I could kind of summarize everything like that, to beat those postseason blues, give yourself a break when you get back, or first of all, make sure that you've taken care of everything before you get on your elk hunt, so that as soon as you're done, you don't feel like you just got started and have those kind of regrets. So that's huge on that front end of it there. If you have gotten everything and you put your time in and you had that great hunt like we did, and you're feeling that, give yourself a break there. Refocus on doing some things that you love with family members. Involve them in that. Get out there hunting small game, hunting deer, hunting other animals. Find those other passions that are going to get you there, and then start refocusing a little bit and reevaluating, if anything, so that you can start lining out stuff and preparing what you're doing. Play with your setup. Do those 3D shoots. Start making plans for that upcoming season, because it's going to come a lot sooner. Think about this, y'all. We are already talking that, in a matter of so many months, there's a lot of states that you're going to have to apply already to. I don't know if I know this for a fact. Like, if you want to go to Alaska, I think that's coming up here in December. So, there's a lot of things that you have to start thinking about now. So some of that will help you with that as well. And
one of the things I would recommend also is, while you are in your hunt and you realize that you're missing something, that you had a failure, that you're needing something, that somebody has a piece of gear or equipment that you found extremely useful, just on your phone, on your notes, just start writing a list of things that. Because what happens is like, you see somebody having a piece of an equipment that you're like, oh my God, that's pretty good. I need to get me one of those for next year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then you don't write it down, and then you get back to the real world, and then you completely forget. And next year you show up as like, man, I meant to buy something like that last year, and I didn't. So it's easy to do. Just keep track of those things. I do that when I go to camp. I start, kind of on my notepad and the phone.
The other thing I would tell you guys is change your mindsets from what had happened to what is going to happen. So instead of going through that depression of where you just came from, start change that thinking to where you're going to go. And that totally changes things for you, man. So we're going to go ahead and end that right there tonight, guys, so we can get to our mailbox, because we have some pretty incredible stuff and some incredible people from two of our grinders. And these are great guys, man. We hear from these guys all the time. And Mike Wilson out of Ogden, Utah. You know what's so cool about these questions from Mike is Mike. He was like at ground zero, man, before this year. And you listen to these questions now, it's like a whole different level. You can tell he is on that next level thinking, right?
Mike is pretty awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, it really is. And so Mike says, thank you. I love the show. Appreciate you guys more than you know. I've gone through the academy, and I'm going through it all again over the holidays with a new perspective. Now with a small drop of experience. And let me tell you what, he's got more experience than he thinks. Oh, by the way, heal up, Mike. The guy, he broke his arm. Oh man. No. Yeah.
That sucks.
He says, but 2 odd questions and a couple of gear questions for you. And these questions are not odd. They are spot on. Okay. So his first one is, on my first day out, I made a cow call and immediately had a cow mew maybe 30 yards away in thick brush. At first, I thought it was another hunter, but then I heard them. So in other words, he could smell the elk, right? He says, I felt stuck. I eventually mewed again. They were still there, so I attempted to move where I could see them, and one started barking, almost sounded like an elephant. This went on for 10 or 15 minutes. The elk eventually and slowly moved away, still barking every few minutes, and I just couldn't get a clear shot. Is there anything I could have or should have tried? Should I have just stayed quiet and still, or was this just a no-win situation, though lots of fun?
I learned about that this year as well with you, Joe. And I didn't know what the barking meant.
Oh yeah, man, they done got you. They know the jig is up.
but I want everybody to realize this: when they bark,
show yourself.
They know something's there, but they don't know what it is. And so when they're barking, they're saying, "Show yourself," right?
Yeah, and they're alerting everybody else that something's there that they ought to see too.
Yeah. You know, like show yourself, man.
Yeah.
That's why you know, there's a lot of guys that when a bull is coming by them, they'll cow call at a bull. And I don't know if you've had it happen yet, but I have it happen all the time where you cow call sometimes and that bull's already moving because he knows he's going to a cow and he just keeps moving through it. Maybe he didn't hear it, maybe the noise covered it. But let me tell you what, you bark at that guy, he stops in his tracks, man, and he looks at you. It's like a grunt bark at him, and you do that. But so in this case,
did you think, what would it be fair, Joe, to say at that point that, you know, try barking back?
absolutely. That's the bingo, man.
Yeah.
Because the first thing that I do is if a cow barks at me, right? The first thing I do is I'm like, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like you're going, hey, show yourself. And I'm like, no, you show yourself. Yeah. So, man, I'll just start barking at them, and then I do some sounds in the ground, like elk kind of moving around a little bit, you know, over there, maybe behind it. But I bark right back at them. And I've had them, when they do that, they will actually come forward to try to see now. They try to get that visual where they'll come instead of demanding you to give them the visual. So
it's a pretty cool experience, though. I imagine he freaked out when he first heard him as soon as he made that first cow.
For me, when he heard the cow mew, and he knew they were about 30 yards away, he didn't need to say nothing else.
No.
Right? He just needed to get on his ninja stick and try to figure out where the wind was and try to silently get in there with them, right? The minute he alerted them that he was there, they're like, oh, really? Another elk in there? And then he moved. They caught the movement. That's what alerted him to him. They couldn't tell what he was, but they saw the movement. So like you said, they wanted to hear him, right? So for me, if I know I got elk in front of me and I hear a mew, I don't need to make a sound to them. I just need to try to keep moving until I see them, you know, or try to work around, see where my wind's at, try to work in there to see them silently, man. You don't have to say a word. And I'm silently moving in there to see if it is another hunter or see if it's elk. And once I smell them, totally know what I need to do from there on.
Well, yeah, and if they're that close, man, and if I mewed and they answered, you know, man, they know I'm there. They're going to start coming, right? So I probably wouldn't be moving a whole lot myself, you know.
Almost sit still.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there. I might throw a call back behind me, you know, just to do that. And if I had a decoy, that might give me just a little bit something different, and I usually have a decoy with me. So what?
It was that attempt to move that got him to bark.
Oh, well, especially when he's 30 yards and he in thick brush and he has mewed back to him, right? And then he's moved, and they're like, well, that didn't look right because they caught the wrong color, the wrong shine or something like that.
Showed him look like 4 legs moving at once.
And they're like, if you are an elk, come here and show yourself. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. No,
and then after the bark, Joe's right. After the bark, you got to bark back.
I bark right back at him, man.
And that next question is awesome.
Just another point, Mike, whenever you hear a cow call or a bugle, don't think it's the hunter. You know, go check it out.
Go look at it.
Yeah, don't assume. Yeah, it's a hunter.
Don't assume, right?
Yeah, play it out, man.
No matter how bad it sounds.
Exactly.
So his second question is, one morning I was out a couple of hours before light. I love hearing that, and heard some elk bugling, the closest maybe 500 yards uphill. I hiked in a couple hundred yards, but then was in a quandary. I don't want to call and find out I was right on top of him, but really had no idea how far away it was. What if I called and he came in before shooting light? I ended up waiting until just before shooting light, called again and found that I was within 100 yards. But my question is, once I've generally located bulls in the dark, should I wait until light before interacting anymore, or is there something to be gained by getting close?
Good question.
Yeah. Excellent.
So,
been there, done that.
Yeah, and you know, we've all been in a situation where we have interacted too soon and they end up right on top of you. So basically, I try to get into a point to that comfort zone, and I'm just waiting, man. And I'm listening, and I'm trying to be in that downwind side where I can smell them, and I'm just trying to get more information. Now, if that animal bugles and they're still another 100, 300 yards away, now I'm going to cut that distance again, nice and relaxed, knowing when, I'm paying attention. Where's my gray light? And for you guys that don't know what I mean by gray light, it's that first light that you start to see in the sky over there on the horizon where the sun's coming up before it comes up. And as I see that gray light, that's telling me how much time I'm getting ready to have before they get there, man. So that's something for you to think about there. All right. And then, I am going to wait. I am going to be patient. If once I've gotten into that 150 zone on him, man, I don't want to do a peep, man. I'm just listening to them, and I'm just waiting until I can actually do something and get on top of them. It doesn't do me any good to get them on me if I'm not able to shoot. Right.
That's right.
I think he did. I think he did all the right things. But to your point, instead of calling that second time where he found out he was about 100 yards from them, just kind of stay silent and wait to get more information, like you said, Joe. But one thing that you mentioned that I learned from you this last trip was trying to figure out distances and yardage. I remember when the day we killed Manano's bull, you tried. We kind of told you how far we heard the bull.
Right.
And you started kind of walking in that direction. And you told us that what you normally do in those situations, you actually count your steps.
Right.
Because that kind of helps you get a sense for how much have you closed in from where you heard the bull, and it puts you in a situation where you don't, put yourself right on top of the animals, and because it's easy to lose track of how much you've walked.
Right.
If you're not kind of keeping that in mind.
Especially if you're going uphill, man, because they have an advantage. If they're above you and they're looking down, man, the elevated position is just such a better advantage for them. So you got to really be careful about how deep you're going to get in there if you're going uphill to them.
Well, that's why, man. I mean, it's different when they're on the other side of a ridge, like you're talking about, Gilbert. But if we're in kind of an area where it's not so, flat. It's more flat, and these guys tell me it's 300 yards. Well, man, I'm counting my steps to about 150, man, and then I'm going to a chill mode a little bit, right, when I get in that close. So that kind of tells me.
Makes sense, Joe.
Number 3, for the guys who use handheld releases, what type do you recommend? I was using a 4-finger thumb release, and I loved it during practice, but it became a hindrance in the field. It is all metal and seemed to clank on everything. Fell off my hand a dozen times and occasionally wouldn't lock on the string. Suggestions?
Go to your bow shop and try out every one they got. See which one you like best. I shoot a Silverhorn made by Scott. I love it. Been using it a long time, but I'm going to tell you, the smoke that's out there by True Fly, it's good. My son shoots that. Luis can tell you what he shoots. But go to your bow shop, man. They'll have them all lined up. You can put them on, see, you can go shoot each one of them. Little plug for your bow shop, but go see what you like, man. Don't get locked into one thing. Figure out what works for you.
There are different kinds of different styles. You have the like you're saying, the thumb releases. There's also back tension. There is just the wrist type with the
Jaws.
Yeah, the jaws that kind of clip on the string, and there's the ones that only have one hook.
That's what I shoot, the one hook.
I shoot the one hook for True Fire, the hardcore, and I find that one great because you can adjust the travel on the trigger, and you can also adjust the tension. Which are kind of two different things, really. So reason why I like them is they're on your wrist, and they're not going to fall off, and you're going to carry them with you the whole time, and you're going to be ready to go.
And you're not going to lose it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do like the thumb one, but I agree with you 100%. They're easy to lose in the woods. I went and actually made a rope and put it around my wrist, but in a quick situation where you're trying to kind of grab it and try to lock that thing in, it becomes it's not as smooth as it would be with a wrist type release. So,
and I'm going to throw something in from a non-release guy. When you mentioned the back tension release, is that I think, and guys, I mean, I might hear this from a lot of release guys, but this is just as a guide that's been with people. When you're using a back tension release on a still target face is totally different from using it on a live animal that's moving. I want my hunters to know and determine when that arrow is going to leave their bow, because things can change, and I don't want them to not know when that arrow is going to release. So that's just something I just want to throw out there for that
most of your back tension guys use them when they're 3D shooting.
Yeah,
brother.
it's for target panic, man. Again, and it's a whole different deal with that live animal. So that's just something I want to throw out there. And his last question was, he used an inReach, and I've been looking at the Zoleo that we've talked about. He said the inReach texting is not cheap, but with the inReach, I can turn it on, and my wife loves that she gets periodic locations sent to her, and I don't need to think about it. If something were to happen in the backcountry, she'd be able to see my last location. You've mentioned sending a location with Zoleo, but can it send automatically, or will I have to send a message periodically? So there's a button on the Zoleo that has a little check mark on it, and all you have to do is push that check mark anytime. I don't know if you can set it to automatically send. I haven't, Luis, there's not a way to do that, is there?
No, I don't think there's a way to do it.
No, I think you can just push that check mark. Yeah.
And what we do is we hang the Zoleo device in our backpack.
Yeah.
And on the side of the backpack. So, I mean, if you have it within your hand's reach, every once in a while you remember you press that button.
And you don't you don't have to do it there. You can do it on your app on your phone. You can push the check-in button on there as well. So it doesn't have to be the actual device that you push it.
It will send your location,
exactly,
saying you're okay.
Plus, it has SOS, just like the inReach does, that you push that SOS and it lets the troops know that you have a problem. Okay, so that's on that. Our next question comes from Keith Despacito, and he's out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, man, and he's
just on the outskirts of Tulsa.
Yeah, he's loud and proud about that too. But I want you to know that Keith is New Mexico people as well. I mean, his grandparents and family and everybody's right here from New Mexico, so he has roots here. In fact, his grandfather, I think it was just over 100 years old that he just celebrated, and I'm not sure the exact year, but it was over 100 years old, man. Way cool. So shout out.
One of the best softball tournaments we play in every year. I go play twice a year. It's in Broken Arrow.
Yeah. Yeah. So he has two questions, man, and it's so funny. He actually got the juices going on this. He says, "Hope all is well in the land of enchantment. I was curious, is there any way to give the base camp as a present for Christmas?" So, Keith, since I got your email and since you sent me that text, and to everybody out there, I am working on a electronic gift card that you can purchase for somebody and send it to them so that they can redeem it for a subscription to the base camp. So that is now in the works. I'm hoping to have that out and have that on the site so that people can purchase that. So keep your eyes out for that. If you're looking for, Keith was the one that sent this in his text. He said, I hear you guys talking, and people can buy gear. They can buy camo. They can buy all this different stuff. But he says, I'm a firm believer like you are that the greatest asset to being successful is knowledge. I thought it was really cool that he wanted to help other people be more successful by giving the base camp there.
No doubt.
That was his first question, and hope that answers that. So second one, he says, also, I'm kind of like Big O when it comes to hunting. If I see them before they see me, they're in some serious trouble. But it seems that the hardest part so far has been, and this is during the early season, he says, has been locating. Do we just go into an area with a bunch of sign and blind call as we move slowly through and just keep hitting different pockets, hoping to see something first? Or is there a different early season strategy that we could also try? And personally, well, actually, I'm gonna let you guys talk about those methods. Go ahead, guys.
First off, yes. Brother, only time you're going to know if they're there or not, but you don't see sign. You're going to see scat, and you're going to see trees blown up and rubs and stuff. And you're going to see tracks. And then you should be listening in the mornings, and in the nighttime you should be listening. But yeah, man, that first morning, I'll never forget last year we walked right out of elk camp, and right back. There we go. So it was on like Donkey Kong, and we didn't know that they were there or not,
Yeah.
So, we figured that they were there. We were in elk areas that we've been there before. So if he's in a new area that we've never hunted before or something like that, yeah, man, get on that cow call first, and make you a few little cow mews, and you don't hear anything, then get on that bugle, see that advertising bugle, and see if we can't get something to answer.
But he was talking about early season, how a lot of times they're really, really quiet too. And,
Yeah.
so he has that in. And one of our favorite things, Keith, one of my favorite techniques is to move through transition areas between feed and bedding areas.
Yeah.
And as I'm moving through, man, I like to have a crosswind when I do it. And I'm moving through so that I'm cow calling here and there, usually doing like a kind of like that.
Small herd moving.
Yep, just like a small group moving. And as I'm going through, we are looking, because we know that those elk are going to respond, and they're going to respond in maybe not bugling. You might hear a little grunt.
Silent.
You might hear a chuckle.
Don't forget to look back every once in a while.
Man,
Most of the time
absolutely.
they come in silent, man,
Yeah.
and we're looking for them off to the right, to the left, and in front, coming in silent. And we've killed a ton of elk like that.
Need to be patient when you're in your calling sequences. You don't need to move a whole lot after calling. You need to really pay attention to which way the wind's blowing, and also your six. If you got somebody with you, man, you need to make sure you're looking behind you, because those rascals will sneak in on you like a thief in the night. And they are pros at doing it. So yeah, we've learned a whole lot by doing that. And yeah, they are going to shut up some, but I'm telling you, man, we were as early as you could be this year. And, you just speak the language. They speak back a lot of times and give you an idea of where they're located at. Then you can ease up in there on them. And all you need is one little peep, one little mew. And
That's it.
You can
and
ease in
listen
there
for
on
those
them.
mews, man.
Yeah.
Listen for that raking, because sometimes, they'll start raking. And really early season, I get a lot of bow calls, man. I get those bull mews, man, that, I'll come out, and when I send out those calls, I like to send them over the top of things, where in that morning it kind of goes through. You can hear it like send and bounce off way far away, and that's how I know that I'm getting that audio out there, man. So I really like moving. Chav, that's what we do a ton early season, right?
Right. Yeah. The key is get up early.
Yeah.
Get up early.
Yeah.
Give some cow calls.
Yeah, get out there, get those cow calls, listen for something that's moving through in the dark. As soon as those cows hit the trees, they start mewing. As soon as those bulls hit the trees, they're going to start mewing. That's their little way of communicating with things that can't see them in the trees. If they're in a park, it's all physical. It's from sight. But once they get in the trees, that's when they start letting out those mews. So, that first thing right there in the dark when they start getting in there, or that first part of daylight, okay?
And if you're hearing mews or raking, you're close.
Yeah, buddy.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, you're within that 100-yard magical distance, man.
Great questions, man. Great questions from these
Very
guys.
good questions. Look, man, this whole thing that we had tonight was the real deal, man. The elk hunting blues are real. You've heard it straight from the horse's mouth from, me and Luis, who live, 1,000 miles away from the mountains. And Joe gets to do it all the time. So it's not really that real for Joe, but now you've heard from Chav too. That's kind of, had to deal with that this year. So it's really good stuff, Joe. Really good content tonight. Some fantastic questions from our listeners. Guys, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate, and review. You got to go to Apple Podcast or iTunes to review us, and you can check out more elk hunting content at ElkBros.com. And just a reminder, if any of our listeners would like their questions answered on our show, just send your questions to info@elkbros.com. That's info@elkbros.com. Fantastic show tonight, guys. Can't wait to see what the Mafia puts out here in the next few days. Y'all stay tuned to that YouTube, because I'm going to be putting up some of the big O show stuff. It's coming, man. Logan's going to put the smackdown on a big whitetail here this week, and my daughter will be in camp too. So, and she's super lethal. If you think I'm lethal, there you don't want to run away from her when she's aiming a rifle at you, because you're just going to die tired.
And we got some really cool video from Luis that we're just doing some refinement stuff on it, and then we'll get that on there, man. So
yes, sir.
Excited about all that.
Fantastic stuff. Guys, like we say down here in Texas, husbands, kiss your wives. Wives, kiss your husbands. Hug your babies. Keep your broad head sharp and your powder dry. And we'll see you next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Peace, peace.
Peace.